Very scary card, unless, of course, it approves you you've got the nuts. So Zaz now shoves. Interesting. We're playing 25-50 here. We've got Make Boyfriend. We've got Elon Musk, a.k.a. Big Blind Bets. And we've got, I don't know, this ugly, otherwise known as Sam Gale. Sam Gale is a very beautiful man in real life, but his avatar, not so much. So we've got Big Blind Bets. Open raising quite small, which is kind of a cool play. Make Boyfriend is punishing him by 3-betting him to 10 big blinds, which is pretty standard. And Big Blind Bets is going to call a pretty wide range here, being in position. Queen 6 deuce is a pretty dry board. Big Boyfriend doesn't really have to fear a whole lot on this board, so he can bet pretty aggressively, but he doesn't this time. Big Blind bets here, and he's saying, hey, I don't need to bet very large in order to get value, get some protection, right? This saves him a bit of money in case he gets check raised, and, you know, he can just make more thin value bets. Would be cool if Make Boyfriend check raises here, but he check calls. So he's representing some type of medium strength hand, right? And one of those medium strength hands is pocket jacks, which does not improve. Makes sense for Big Blind Bets to size up, right? As in, on the flop, he's bet a little bit more thinly. Maybe he wants to bet a hand like sevens. That hand is no longer good enough to value bet, so now he's choosing a larger bet size. This is like a classic solver line. Make Boyfriend does make the call. The 7 doesn't matter a whole lot because, as I said, 7s will be checked behind. Maybe some kind of random, 7-8 of hearts got there, but that's not even a great hand. So I expect Big Blind Bets to be shoving all in here if he does indeed bet. I mean, there's a belt pot behind, so easy shove here. I would imagine that Big Blind Bets shove something like, King Queen plus here perhaps. Maybe he goes thinner if he believes Make Boyfriend is a calling station. Ouch. So, Make Boyfriend 3-bet King Queen off, fine. And he actually check called down, which is fine. You could have check raised all in on the turn. You could have check raised the flop, but it's a nice tricky play. And on the river, there's no way you can fold, right? I mean, Big Blind Bets could shove the same hand. As I said, maybe he shoves worse. He can have bluffs like King 9 here, 10-9, 8-9, hearts, 5-4, maybe some random stuff. So no way you can fold once you've taken this line. So I'll give Make Boyfriend a 9 out of 10. I think it's cool. It's a cool way of mixing things up. Big Blind Bets' play is a little bit more tricky to rate. The pre-flop call is good. In fact, it's by far the best play. But the flop step is quite loose. The turn step is quite loose. On the river, I think it's fine. So I'll give him an 8 out of 10. It's one of those plays which is good, but again, you can't make it as at a high frequency, right? So maybe it is a low frequency play, or maybe he's just mashing buttons and bluffing everything, in which case he's too aggressive, right? So it's difficult to rate a play just based on seeing one hand, right? Unless if Big Blind Bets at 4-3 offsuit, okay, I can rate his play very low, right? But at the same time, we don't really know if this was a great play because we don't know how often he does this. So I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Aggressive, but good. Different lineup this time. We've got the Jericho with the lady. Don't know who that is. We've got Elon Musk again, and we've got who is that from Austin Powers? Is that Mini Me or Evil Me, whatever you call him? I've never seen the movie. I know nothing about movies. So Elon Musk open raises the 3x, and the Jericho's main play here is going to be call. But what do you know? He's going to 3-bet call. 7-4 deuce. That's kind of weird, right? I mean, the 7, the 4, and the deuce are probably a little bit better for the Jericho. Both guys are going to have a decent amount of flushes here. Both guys are going to love opening suited hands and defending suited hands. So Big Blind Bets definitely has to be careful on a board like this. So he doesn't check, but at the same time, he does bet small, right? So by betting small, you keep the size of the pot down a little bit. Call by the Jericho and turn as a jack. I think both guys could easily have the jack of diamonds here, right? Or some type of, jack 7, jack 4 suited type of stuff. So it makes sense that Big Blind Bets continues to bet. Doesn't have to bet huge. The ace definitely changes things. Both guys could have easily hit the ace of diamonds or 2 pair. At the same time, other flushes did miss. Wow. So the Jericho actually shoves here over a big bet, and when he shoves for like 4.5 times the bet size after facing 3 bets, I think he's exclusively representing a flush, right? So he's so basically he has to not 3-bet a suited hand pre, which is obviously fine, and then he has to just slow play 3 times. So let's see what he has. Okay. Okay. So big blind bet says aces. I think his play is okay, though you definitely could have slow played at some point. The Jericho has Jack 9 offsuit. Interesting. So calling the flop with the Jack high flush on the overcards, and I guess the backdoor straight draw is good. Calling the turn is the best play by far. But on the river, he actually turned his hand into a bluff, which is very interesting, right? So he's probably thinking, well, my hand is a mediocre calling hand, but my opponent could be bluffing. He could have something like the king of diamonds or the queen of diamonds. He could have something like 10-9 or something like that. So I'm actually going to turn my hand into a bluff. Again, it's kind of like big blind bets play last time, right? It can be a great play, but if you start bluffing here with any ace of diamonds, king, queen, jack, 10-9 of diamonds, you can have way more bluffs than you should have. So I'll actually give him an 8.5 out of 10. I'll give big blind bets. I'll give him an 8 out of 10. On the river, it's kind of close, right? I mean, versus a good opponent like the Jericho, you probably have to call. Versus a very bad opponent who's never bluffing, you can probably fold. But I think his call is fine. So, nice hand. Nice fun spots. So, 50-100 this time. A very unusual lineup, I have to say. 4-6-4 limps the small blind. And Zaz 91, he ISOs. 4-6-4 is mostly going to limp weak hands. Here, and obviously, he's going to balance that out with some strong ones. So you need to raise aggressively here. Not give him a free flop, or at least a cheap flop. 4-6-4 does limp call. Board is Jack 8-3, which is kind of dry, right? Not a whole lot happening. Sass is going to do a decent amount of betting here. And 4-6-4's main play against that small bet is going to be a call. Sass should probably size up and use a very large bet size here, which he does employ. I really like that play. I mean, the 5 doesn't really do anything, right? I mean, 4-6-4 maybe could have like 8-5 or Jack 5 pocket 5s, all at this kind of frequencies. That's about it. So if Zaz has a hand like pocket queens, he's very, very happily value betting. This 10 of diamonds definitely changes quite a bit. I mean, straights get there, flushes get there. Very scary card, unless, of course, it improves you if you've got the nuts. So Zaz now shoves. Interesting. He's saying, hey, this card helped me. I've got at least... I mean, I would say he's representing at least a set, but most likely straight or a flush. Okay. So... 4-6-4 limp called with Jack 10, which makes a lot of sense, right? You've got an average hand. You don't really like calling a 3-bet. You don't really like 4-betting. You know, limp calling is fine. Your hand plays fine out of position. And then he check calls the flop with, you know, top pair, okay kicker. He check calls the turn, same thing. And on the river, he has top 2 pair. So he blocks the set as well, at least, you know, reasonably well. So, I mean, he blocks some sets, although it's not that relevant. And he's probably thinking, hey, this Zaz guy's bluffing here with a hand like, you know, some type of 1 diamond hand, some kind of missed straight draw, you know, some type of random blockers as well. So I think he's bluffing enough for me to make this call. Zaz ISO'd ace-9 off, fine. He c-bet the flop thinly, fine. And on the turn, he's thinking, well, this hand has some showdown value, but not that much. If I bluff here, I get a lot of fold equity, and I can use my diamond on the river. And, you know, that's fine logic. And at least on this river, you know, this is like the perfect bluffing hand, right? You block the straight, you block the nuts. This is a cool hand to bluff with. So I'll give both guys an 8.5 out of 10. Nice play. I also like Zaz's avatar. It's a picture of Truth Teller saying GTO, so I like that.